Okay, so this is the review of the Galaxy S22 Ultra in 2023, which I actually bought about a month or so back. But why? Why I chose this one over the S23 Ultra? Let me tell you in this video. Well, the design of the S22 Ultra is very similar to the S23 Ultra or the Note 20 Ultra. It has the same boxy design, the S Pen slot at the bottom, the flat top and bottom. I love the design of the phone. Now, definitely that's the design and it's subjective. The phone being a flagship phone, it has a premium build quality. Like the Armor aluminum frame makes it more premium than my iPhone 15 Plus with aluminum frame. But it's also not too heavy. The weight distribution is good enough. But if you also don't know, it doesn't have micro SD card slot even though there is probably space inside, and there is also no headphone jack. So it might matter to a lot of people, but I don't really care about that, so I'm fine with it. The Galaxy S22 Ultra also has a stunning display. It is slightly more curvy than the current model, but also less curvy than the previous Note model. The specs are very similar to the S23 Ultra's panel, except it is a little older and it's less efficient. But that's not noticeable in any shape or form. The colors, the brightness, the panel quality, all are amazing. The bezels are slim and there is a slight bit of chin, but that's not a big deal. The overall look of it is just identical. And the outer brightness is also crazy 1750 nits with adaptive brightness mode. But it has a drawback, and that is the phone will actually heat up quickly and lower the brightness to 50% of the manual brightness, which is about 1200 nits according to Samsung. And you can't adjust the brightness manually with the adaptive brightness mode on under direct sunlight. So I usually use the phone with manual brightness at 70 to 80% outside, which is bright enough and doesn't heat up the phone at all. Now if you think this is a problem of this phone, well actually not. Same is true for my iPhone too, except it allows me to manually change it even if it's going up. That's the difference. And if you are wondering about the lowest brightness, well it can go very low. There is also extra dim option, but I noticed that at 1440p resolution, there is a lot of flickering at the lower brightness, which can be very annoying for some people who are sensitive to that. And that's why I also switched it to 1080p, and I also stopped using the phone at the lowest brightness. I actually used the accessibility color filters to reduce the eye strain at night, which actually is a better solution. But the refresh rate is actually really good. It can switch between 1 to 120Hz according to Samsung. Usually it switches between 10Hz, 24Hz and 120Hz. That's what I've seen. Another thing that I love about the display is that it is actually a rectangle, which looks actually better than any curvy phones. Most phones are like that. But the speakers are a big drawback. They are not as loud as my iPhone 15 Plus, my previous Galaxy S model, but I'm not going to complain too much because it's fairly loud. It's all about the quality. The sound is thin, with or without the Dolby Atmos or equalizer tweaking. I found this on the first day and I was disappointed. Here's a comparison between the iPhone and the iPad Pro. The mic though is very good. No complaints at all. It works well from a long distance. Here is one example of that.
I'm like literally 1 feet away from the phone. This is as close as I can get. And now it's about 3 feet. and now it's about 6 feet distance from. Can you still hear me? Now I'm here close to about half feet. You can still hear me, right? You definitely can.
The battery life of the S22 Ultra has improved well with the One UI 5.1 software that my phone came with. I did a battery test video on this phone and found out that it can last a long time. In my real life usage, which is more intense than the usual table tests, the screen on time was about 6 hours with 22 hours of battery life in total, compared to 8.5 hours I got out of my iPhone 15 Plus with the same kind of usage. So it's not that bad, but I have to accept that it is not as efficient as the S23 Ultra either. But I can say that this is a dependable battery life even for a heavy user. In the charging department, it's nothing special. It has same 45 watt max charging, USB-C 3.2 Gen port, the same 25 watt charging as well, and then same wireless charging. And there is also reverse wireless charging, which is good, but nothing extra special about it. Now, if you talk about the heating issues, are there any? Well, the Snapdragon variant of this phone, which I'm using, had heating issues before, just like the Exynos model. But I found out that if I control the brightness, the battery temperature stays around 30 to 39 degrees centigrade. Unless I go outside with adaptive brightness on and use the cameras, it will not even reach to 40 degrees. But if I do those things, then it will reach to 45 degrees easily. And that's bad. So the adaptive brightness is the biggest problem here. The brightness slider is also a little different on this device. It's not linear. At 8% brightness, it is very bright. And I use this phone at 15% brightness indoors, which is also very bright. Performance-wise, the S22 Ultra is excellent. Like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, maybe it was not as efficient because of Samsung Foundry, but it was not slouched by any means. There is no lag, no stutter, no hang, nothing. It is super duper fast to open every single thing, and it will be for a very long time, unless until you update the software every single time. I have seen some stuttering sometimes, like when opening the notification panel after unlocking, I've seen that. But it's mostly because the panel is actually switching its refresh rate. Because if I turn off the adaptive refresh rate, then it doesn't happen. The same thing if I turn off the animations, it doesn't happen at all. So you see what I'm trying to say here. I'm also not considering to upgrade the software to the latest variant because I don't really care about the small little features they added with every single Android updates, which might even in return will ruin the battery experience of this device or something else. But for those who care about updates, well, this phone will still get you 3 more major Android updates to Android 16 and 4 years of security updates. There is 2D face unlock on this phone for the biometrics, but it's using the selfie camera, so under pitch black condition it doesn't work. But there is a very fast fingerprint scanner underneath the display. It's the ultrasonic one and it doesn't light up the area and it just is super damn quick. I really do love it. Now, in my case though, if I haven't mentioned, the storage is actually 256GB base model over here in my region, and the RAM is 12GB. So I'm having plenty enough storage, and I depend on the online side of the thing, so I don't really care. But it's plenty for long term. As for the other things you need to know, I haven't seen network issues with this phone. 5G has been amazing on this device. The USB-C 3.2 Gen port actually supports Samsung Galaxy Dex feature, a PC-like variant of the Android experience. And then you have to talk about the haptics, which is a big thing when you're talking about the flagship phones. It's actually really awesome on this device. And you can also customize the haptics like a capability too, like how intense you want it to. But the problem is that when you're unlocking it or when you're locking it, you're not feeling any of those haptics, which is really bad considering it can be done using software. Samsung just didn't do it. Plus, the S Pen experience has been amazing. But here's the thing, I never really cared about a stylus inside the phone or using a phone with a stylus. But now, with the new generation applications and the note-taking capabilities, this thing is really winning my heart every single day. Whenever I take it out, I just love it. And this feature also makes this phone really unique from every other smartphones in the market. Definitely. By the way, the S Pen tip doesn't even scratch the phone screen, so you don't have to worry about that. My phone has been naked since the first day, so it doesn't even have any scratches on the display, so it's pretty good. But if you have a MagSafe accessory attached to the back of the phone, then yeah, the S Pen will not behave properly. So that's another thing to keep in mind. The cameras are probably one of the main reasons to choose this phone over anything at this price. The main 108 megapixel 1 over 1.33 inch sensor with f1.8 aperture takes really good shots in day and night. They are slightly more bright, saturated and contrasty, but I like the overall look though. The night mode is amazing. It can make a pitch black photo look like a daylight photo in about 4 seconds. But at 12 megapixel by default. It's not 24 megapixels like the iPhone, so that's another thing. But what surprises me is that the full 108 megapixel photo isn't actually that sharp. Here's another example. The 14 megapixel 1 over 1.56 inch sensor, much smaller than this one's, of the iPhone 15 Plus produces crisper photos with more blur. Now you might be thinking, how is that possible? Because if you turn on the focus enhancer button, it makes the phone use the ultra-wide-angle camera to take a 1x photo in the daylight at the very least. And that's why it lacks the depth of field or the details. But if I turn it off, the details and the depth of field comes out. But still, compared to my iPhone, it has less details, even at full 108 megapixels. Here's an example. The iPhone photo can show the text here, but the Samsung one can't really do that. But on the other hand, the Samsung actually can focus on a closer subject, unlike the iPhone. That is a big win, actually. I also love the color tone of these photos, like the Samsung photos. They are slightly more saturated, but I prefer them over the iPhone photos at any given point. It also has more than one camera. The ultra-wide-angle camera is good in most situations, and it also allows for macro photos too, which is really cool. I never thought actually I would like macro photos that much, but now I do take a lot of photos like that. The same thing I can say also for the 10x camera. I never expected I will use this as much, but I do. Very good in most situations. Like earlier, I said that the text were not visible on the photo. Well, using 25x zoom, you can actually have better details than the iPhone's one, thanks to this 10x camera. Samsung really has options for you. Everyone who sees this, they're amazed at how far it can actually reach and how much details it can actually recover, even though it's doing it using AI. Crazy good. But in nighttime though, being a smaller sensor with very narrow aperture, the zoom till 14.9x, like before 15x, happens using the 3x camera. And I've tested it many times, and this is what happens every single time. Now talking about the 3x camera though, it is actually probably the most impressive camera out of all of them, and most used one in my phone. I wish it was like 12 megapixel native camera with bigger sensor, wider aperture, but maybe in the future. Anyway, it helps immensely to take good portrait mode photos. Like the cutout on Samsung is way better than the Apple's one. Now I'm not able to show you all the photos because they are private, but I love every single one of them taken with this Ultra model. Crazy good. I love it. Now the 12 megapixel selfies are good in most situations, even in the night, using the 40 megapixel sensor. But yeah, I'm super impressed with the normal nighttime photos under dimly lit condition with full 108 megapixel resolution as well. Here's one example. Really great details, no noise, love these capabilities. Really good. Now for videos though, here is an example for you. Under bright light and dim background, it produces good videos, but there are noise a bit too much of my liking for a phone like this. But overall, looks good, both using 1x and 3x camera, I've seen it, and there is not that much of a blur when using these cameras. But portrait video solves that, but it is gonna be a 1080p one. That's not good. So the cutout is better than the iPhone's, but the resolution sucks. But I have used the S22 Ultra's 3x camera to take this video of the iPhone using the Pro mode, and the results are supremely good. Very little to no noise, insanely great in terms of the perception, and under proper lighting, it is damn good. I mean, people couldn't even find whether it's taken with a phone or it's a camera. Now, even though Samsung don't allow log shooting on these devices, but maybe one day they will allow in a future Ultra model. I'll be very happy with that. But yeah, as of now, it's slightly over-sharpened, but I'm fine with it because the overall footage looks amazing. So that's all for the camera experience of the S22 Ultra. I love every single thing about this camera setup. And I don't see myself upgrading anytime soon either, unless Samsung does something really cool with the 3x camera or the rumored 5x camera or 5x 200 megapixel camera for the S25 Ultra. Because after all, the Ultra Galaxies are known for their crazy cameras, so why not? Or maybe I will get the Fold next year if they overall make it a great phone. Until then, I'm happy with this phone. The battery life with One UI 5.1 software, the overall camera experience, the S Pen, the boxy design, the bright and beautiful display, the MagSafe cases make it a complete package for me. So, do I really need anything more than this in the current smartphone market? No. It is still better choice for me than the S23 Plus, the Pixel 8 Pro, and even the iPhone 15 Plus, which are also costing the same exact price. So it may be not as good as the S23 Ultra in certain things like 50 megapixel mode, the 4K portrait mode, the 8K 30 fps, the battery life or the processor, but not by that much to justify the price difference. But yeah, if you think the opposite thing, then yeah, you should buy the S24 Ultra, not the S23 Ultra. For me, the S22 Ultra is more than enough for the current market price. And yes, if you feel like you need some really cool wallpapers for your devices, whether it's a tablet or a smartphone or even a laptop, well, I have some crazy cool 8K wallpapers, stunning designs, and amazing colors. Visit my website, joindavid.com, link down below. And until the next one, bye and take care.